I want to I want to thank everybody for being with us today for the webinar Business Planning with the Business Model Canvas. It's going to be a great session. Sorry for the slight delay, technical difficulties. We're really glad you're here, and I want to let everybody know that this recording is going to be, or this webinar is recorded today and available to everybody that's registered. You're going to get an email tomorrow or maybe later today that you can access the recording, so you don't need to frantically take notes. We hope that you'll participate as much as you like. Jessica's got a really dynamic performance today, so we just want everybody to enjoy, have a good time. Our webinars are all recorded and available to the public, and you can reach them at we-bc.ca. That's our website. I also want to just let everybody know that today we're located on the traditional and unceded territory of the Okanagan Sailk people, and we recognize, honor, and respect the presence of Indigenous people, past, present, and future. So if anybody wants to write on the chat where they're from and what traditional territory they're from, that would be great as well. We like to know who and where our participants come from on these webinars. And at the end of today's webinar, we're going to be doing a feedback poll. In the feedback poll, if you have a topic that you're really interested in learning more about, we suggest that you just enter it in the feedback poll as a suggestion. We'd love to make sure that we provide what you want to see from the WeBC. Okay. So my name is Kathy Burrell, and I'm an entrepreneur in residence here at WeBC. My background is retail. I had a retail ladies clothing store for 20 years. And before that, I was doing fashion design and manufacturing. So all of you participating in the Business Model Canvas today, I totally know what it's like to run a business, to write a business plan, all that fun stuff. I want to tell you a little bit about what we offer. We provide support for your small business journey. We offer financing to get your business started and operating capital to fuel your growth. We offer more flexibility than traditional lenders because we take a holistic approach and provide loans based on your business's viability, not based on formulas. So this means we provide loans to a diverse range of women-owned businesses and support you with integrated services, including complementary training, mentoring, and business advising. I just want to mention that again. If you were normally to get a loan with a bank for your business, you wouldn't be offered complementary mentoring, business advising, and training. And that's what you get at WeBC. From essential business skills development to personalized business advice, we know the right questions to ask and the right resources to connect you with. In our mentoring programs, you can connect with a network of women entrepreneurs and experts all around BC who can support and inspire you. You can learn more about all of our services at we-bc.ca. Okay. So today we've got Jessica Wicks with us, which is great. She's a program strategist at Accelerate Okanagan. And today we're going to be talking about business planning with a business model canvas. So whether you're an entrepreneur looking to test out your idea or an established business looking for new opportunities, the business model canvas is a brainstorming tool that provides a new way to look at your business. And don't we all need that after COVID? I'm delighted to introduce Jessica Wicks, program strategist at Accelerate Okanagan. Welcome, Jessica, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen and you can take it away.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Kathy. I'm just going to start sharing my screen now. So just, oh, wrong button. Give me a second here. Let's put myself in full screen mode. All right. And can everyone see my screen? Oh, you can see my full screen. 1 second here. Let's try that again. There we go. Is that looking good? Okay. All right. So yeah, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the business planning workshop. We're going to really be exploring the power of the business model canvas today. As a note, this workshop is obviously hosted by WeBC, and then us at Accelerate Okanagan. We're here to jump in and facilitate and share some of our learnings about using this tool and how you can apply it to your business. So we want to thank you all for joining us today, of course. Welcome. We're thrilled to have you here for this really interactive workshop, and we're going to try to make it as interactive as possible. Today, I'm joining you from Vernon, BC, which rests on the traditional and unceded territory of the Syilx Okanagan people. Many of you have already shared in the chat where you're from. If you haven't yet, please feel free to do so. We have a really exciting session planned where we're going to guide you through the process of creating a business plan, but doing so using a tool called the Business Model Canvas. So it's a much more lightweight tool than a full business plan, and it allows you to move a little bit more quickly. Whether you're taking your first steps in starting a business, if you're brand new to it, or if you're looking to refine an existing business or business plan that you have, this workshop will provide some insights that can help you make some decisions and drive your business in a new direction or find innovation within your business itself. So throughout this workshop, we're going to encourage you to really actively participate, which you're already doing in the chat. That's lovely. We're going to have opportunities for you to contribute your thoughts and really engage in the exercises we've prepared. And at the end, we're also going to have some time to do some questions and answers. So feel free to ask questions at the end as well. So let's get into it. All right. So getting to know the faces behind today's session, you've just met Kathy. She's a business consultant and executive in residence at WeBC. And then myself, Jessica Wicks. I'm the program strategist at Accelerate Okanagan. So for those of you who don't know Accelerate Okanagan, our organization is really dedicated to fostering innovation and entrepreneurship across the Okanagan region. So we provide mentorship and connections and community for entrepreneurs, ranging everywhere from a soy use to salmon arms. So that's kind of our catchment. To date, we've supported over 800 companies in our region, and more than 300 companies have benefited from our core accelerator programs. It's been really rewarding to see the impact that those programs have had and that those businesses have had on our community. We've seen nearly 1,000 jobs created from those companies who are on our core programs, over $160 million in revenue generated, and over $50 million in investment raised by those companies on our core programs. Speaking of investment, while many of our services are tailored to people in the Okanagan, we do offer capital programming to really innovative and technology-driven businesses throughout BC. And we provide training and skills to secure angel investment and venture capital. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely check out our website, and you can look at a couple of our programs on the Entrepreneurs tab on our website. We're also really dedicated to making sure that there's more diversity in this innovative and technology space. And so we're really pleased to share that in our Okanagan Angel Summit that we ran this last winter, that we had 50% of the companies were women-led participating companies. And we want to see more women get investment, get training, and move their businesses ahead. So let's jump into the overview and set the stage for what we're going to be looking at over the next 90 minutes. We're really going to try to equip you with the knowledge of what the business model canvas is, as well as to understand how it might be useful to you and how you can go about filling out your own canvas. We really want to make sure you understand the three kind of primary sections of the business model canvas. So this is the desirability section, the feasibility section, and the viability section. And we're also going to talk to the 9 different building blocks that make up those sections and how they interact together. So finally, we're going to have some time for Q&A. So any questions that you have about applying this concept to your own business model. I do want to recognize that we're a little bit behind on time, so I'm just going to do my best to keep us on track, and we might have to jump through a few things a little bit more quickly. So when it comes to the business model canvas, the first thing you might be wondering is, what even is a business model? And at its core, a business model is how your organization creates, delivers, and captures value. And in today's rapidly evolving business landscape, where things are changing, sometimes day to day, having a really clear and adaptable plan is really essential. So rather than coming up with that fully established plan for a business and then spending a lot of time hoping it works and getting it out the door, the way the business model canvas works is that it allows you to come up with a series of ideas and plans that then you can test piece by piece, which helps you take really smaller risks when you're building your business and make progress more quickly. It's not necessarily a replacement for an entire business plan. It's actually very complementary to a business plan. So if you're planning to write a full business plan, you could do your business model canvas first to make some decisions within your business of what needs to happen, and then apply those learnings into your full business plan. So the business model canvas is a visual framework, and it helps you really see the entire essence of your business in a single snapshot. So it's like having a 40,000-foot view of your business, and that helps you kind of see how all the pieces play together. A couple of reasons why the business model canvas matters and why it's important is it really helps you get into what we would call the CEO mindset. So it helps you really focus on working on your business rather than just always working in it. It helps you kind of zoom out and take a look at the business that you're building itself as a product, the whole business, not just the things that you're selling within the business. The other reason why we really use the business model canvas with our clients is that it's amazing for helping you come up with innovative ideas. So it's really good for, instead of just copying the norms of your industry and what everyone else is doing, it really helps you spark innovation and see opportunities that other people might have overlooked. And then finally, the other reason why I think the business model canvas really matters is it gives you that really high level overview of your business. The three sections we're going to talk about: desirability, feasibility, and viability, and how they all balance for you. So let's take a look at the canvas itself. So as you can see in here, the business model canvas is a one-page document, and you see that it's made up of 9 different building blocks. So we're going to dive into each of those building blocks throughout this presentation. But first, I want to take a more zoomed out look at what some of the different sections of the canvas are. So the first section we're going to look at is desirability. So desirability is all about making sure that people even want what it is you're about to offer to them. So it's really understanding that there's a genuine demand for your product or your service, and that you have customers who are eagerly awaiting what you're offering. I think everyone wants that for their business. So that's where we start. That's the first section we look at. The next section that we're going to look at is the feasibility section. So this is where you kind of look at, can we even build the thing that we want to build? This is probably where most entrepreneurs like to start. They start thinking about like, oh, I need a lease for my coffee shop, if that's what you're starting, or I need some contracts, or I need whatever it is that I need to execute a job. But we're going to take that step second, and you'll see why as we work through the exercises. And then finally, we're going to look at viability. So this is where we look to make sure that this business even makes sense financially. So of course, it's great to have a business that has demand. It's great to have a business that you can build, but we need to make sure that the numbers add up and that it's making sense, that you're going to be able to capture enough value, make money from the customers that you're serving, and you're going to capture more value than you spend to make that money in the feasibility section. So let's just jump into a couple of quick tips. So throughout this session, we're going to collaboratively work on a hypothetical business model, and we're going to need your help. So my first ask for you is to go ahead and pop into the chat some ideas for a business model that you that, or a business idea, let's say a business idea, that you would like for us to explore today as a group. So just go ahead and fire off. It could be the business you're building, or it could be something else that you have in the back of your mind. Okay, we've got a wellness center. Does anyone else want to add a couple of things? But we can go with wellness center, a restaurant, a daycare, selling natural products. Okay. Kathy, do you want to jump in and keep me accountable and maybe pick one of these amazing business ideas?
Sure. I mean, I think one of the big ones, certainly for the Kelowna region, and something that, you know, you see come and go, is a restaurant.
Okay,
Let's help these people that want to do a cafe, a restaurant, a coffee shop, something like that.
cool. Okay, so thank you everyone for the ideas. There's some amazing business ideas coming into the chat. So these are all amazing. It would be really cool if you take what you learned from this session today and then apply it to the idea that you had and that you posted in the chat. So some quick tips for the exercises we're going to be completing, because we want to make sure that everyone gets the most out of this, but also that when you take the slide deck away, you can really make sure you remember these tips when you're doing this for your own practice. So the first thing is, don't do any research. And I know that sounds really counterintuitive. You know, when you think of like business planning, you're like, oh, I got to do a ton of research. And absolutely you do. But the very first draft of your business model canvas will be a hypothesis. And we're basically going to assume that there is always more you can learn. There's always new information that's going to be coming to you. That's never going to end. So let's draw a line in the sand for the next 90 minutes and say, I have all of the knowledge that I need right now to build a best guess of what this business might be. And then we're going to take that and go in and apply it and actually start looking at how we can prove or disprove the guesses that we made. So today we're doing our hypothesis of the business model. The next quick tip is to use a much shorter time horizon. So a lot of business plans will look much further into the future. They'll look a few years into the future. For the purpose of the business model canvas, we want to look at like what is realistic within the next 3 to 12 months for you to actually execute on, because we want to build a business model that you could actually use as your first step into this business idea that you have. So it's great to think about, you know, what things could look like one day, but let's actually look at like what is reasonable right now. We're also going to recommend that you start every time you go to do a new business model canvas, you start with a really fresh perspective. So let go of any other assumptions you might have, and really approach this exercise with an open mind and start step by step in the boxes that we go through. And finally, we're going to say, like, let's let go of all of the specific ideas. We're really here and we're aiming for clarity, not perfection. So we're really here to look at like the big picture. You know, when we get down to numbers of what would the expenses be here, we're not going to like line item every single expense. We're just going to give a really big bulk estimate of what those big costs might be. All right. So the first section we're going to look at is desirability. And the reason we want to look at desirability first is if you don't have a market, then you really don't have a business that can make money. It's really common for people to come to us and say, like, I've built this entire business. I have the product, I have everything lined up, and now I just need someone to help us with the marketing. And that's a bit of a backwards approach, because marketing is actually baked into the business model itself, and it's baked into the products and services that you're offering. And we want to make sure that whatever you build, there is a market for it before we take any other steps. So that's why we start in the market section. And within this section, there's 4 little boxes we're going to fill out. So we're going to fill out the customer segments, the unique value proposition, the channels, and the customer relationships. So let's go ahead and jump into the customer segments first. So we're really going to want to imagine that this is like a big group of people to start with, and we're going to narrow it down to who we think our first customers need to be. So what I like to do here is I like to think about, like, what is the big picture of the problem that my business might be solving? And so there's a concept called jobs to be done. And it basically states that people don't purchase what you're selling. They want to purchase what you're selling gives them and what it helps them accomplish. And so we want to think about like, what is the big problem space that our business idea is serving? And then we want to narrow it in onto why is that even important to some people, and who are the different types of markets or different types of people who might have that problem and be willing to pay for a solution to it. So what that will do is it will give us kind of this big, broad, total addressable market, but we don't want to stop there because that's going to be too resource intensive to reach everyone in that big market. So then we're going to narrow it down into a very specific kind of first adopters, first customers market. And this is going to be the most specific segment that is most likely to have this problem and be willing to accept a solution that might not be perfect. So these are the people who are really, really motivated and really excited to have a solution to whatever problem it is that you're solving. And when I say problem, it could be a problem, it could be a desire, it could be a number of things, but we just want to really approach, because we're doing a restaurant, this is a great example of we can come up with a couple of different problem ideas, and then we can narrow in on who we want to serve. And then finally, I just want to mention that there are a couple of different business model types. Really, there's three primary ones. One is a direct business model. That's the most common. That's where the person who buys what you're selling, your customer, is also your user. That's what we're going to be talking about today with the restaurant concept. But there are a couple of other business model types. And if you're using one of the other business model types, you might have a customer who's different from a user. So it might be a parent purchasing something, but the child's using it, or it might be a business purchasing something, but it's their staff that has to use it. So just knowing that sometimes there's a different buyer than a customer. And when you do your canvas, you're going to want to do it for both. And then there's also a marketplace model where you have buyers and sellers. And so examples of that might be like a farmer's market, where if you're putting together a farmer's market, you're going to have to attract both buyers and sellers. Amazon's another marketplace, eBay. And so if you're going to run a business like this, again, you have to identify who's your earliest adopter buyer and who's your earliest adopter seller. And you're going to want to find a nice match between those two. And you're going to do your entire canvas for each of those different groups. So let's dive into our first exercise. There's some instructions for you here, but to save a little bit of time, I think we'll just jump over to a canvas and start looking at how we might use this concept of like the big idea, the big total addressable market, and then those first early adopters. And I'm just going to have to like minimize a window here. I've got too many windows going on. All right, so this is, can everyone see this first of all? Someone give me a thumbs up. Okay, good. So this is a business model canvas. We're gonna send this out in the follow-up email, but I also wanna stress you don't need anything fancy to do your business model canvas. And yes, I can make it a bit bigger. So you don't need anything fancy to do your business model canvas. You can use literally a pen and paper or a back of an envelope. I've used before, the notes app on your phone. And just like, once you know the sections, you can just write customer segments and fill it in, customer relationships and fill it in. So you don't have to have a fancy tool, but we will send this out. This is just a Google slide that we've created. So the first box, that customer segment box, is over on the far right. And I like to use just the speaker notes to just work through some of our thoughts and ideas. So the first thing we want to ask is like, what is the big problem that a restaurant solves for people? Some people throw in the chat ideas. And I'll see if I can zoom in a little bit more as well. Nope, that's making it smaller. Okay, so they need to eat. They don't want to cook. Saves time. Need good quality food fast. Want an experience.
Jessica?
Yeah.
Is there a chance you're able to zoom in and someone's commenting that's a little too small to read?
Okay. I'm not sure if I can zoom in because when I did it actually made things smaller, but I'll make it bigger. So we've got like entertainment. Oh, no, it's not smaller there. Entertainment. Spend time with friends and family. Okay, so we can see that there's a number of different big problems that a restaurant might solve, and we're just going to have to pick one to make it our main problem so that we can really focus on doing something better than anyone else. That's the whole point of this exercise. So, I mean, we definitely have a lot of things where it's like, okay, I need to eat, I don't have time, I need to save time. But then we also have this like, actually, I really want good quality, but I want it quickly. And then we also have like this experience, entertainment, so very experiential, spend time. Maybe it's a special occasion, maybe it's an opportunity to be with people you love. So I'm just going to go ahead and choose as the problem, maybe this experience bucket. So the big problem we're going to focus on is like, they really want an experience for when they want to spend time with people they care about. And they don't want to cook while they're doing it. Okay, so that's the really big problem. Now, who are the different people who might have this big problem? Who are the different people who might really want a place to have that experience, to spend time with people that they care about, people that are important to them, and don't want to do it at home? So we've got families and parents. Yep. We might also have like work events, work dinners. It could be like couples celebrating special occasions. So this might be like an aspirational place to go on a very special occasion. Anyone else have anything? People who are on holidays or travelers. All right, so this is giving you an idea of how you start thinking about that big total addressable market. We've got meetings in here. Yeah, people who work for a living and don't get much time at home. That's another example. So you're going to go through and think about everyone who might want to go to a restaurant for an experience, not because they want to go alone, but because they want to spend some time with other people. And then from there, we're going to pick like which of these groups is most likely to try out a new restaurant they've never been to. Who's going to get most excited about that? Does anyone want to throw a guess in? And again, this is a hypothesis. We don't know for sure. We're just making our best guess. Okay, so I've got couples. Couples are coming in a few times. So, okay, we're just going to pop this in, couples. And give me a couple, and I'm just going to make this smaller now because we've got that customer segment lined up. Oh, sorry. Can everyone see this okay? So we've got couples in here, and we're going to say like, what are some reasons why a couple might go out to a new restaurant? What are some of the things that are like, that would prompt them to try a new place? So anniversary. Maybe it's even a night out with like another group of friends, right? They want to get out with some friends. Friends, dates, going on dates. And try something new, exciting and new. I like that one. Okay, so now we've got some ideas of what it is that these couples want out of our new restaurant. They really want a place to go out, celebrate special occasions, celebrate date night. And they don't just want to go to the same place. These are people who are adventurous. They want to try something new. They want to share a new experience with each other. So we have our customer segments. Now let's look at our value proposition. And I've lost my speaker notes for a moment, so I'm just going to fly solo here. So our value proposition is all about really stating, why your restaurant or why your offer is better than any other offer for this specific group. So it's not better than every restaurant ever, everywhere. It's better than every restaurant in your region for solving this specific, like, I want to try something new. I want a great place to go out on dates and celebrate special occasions. So some of the key points of the value proposition then is, I'm just going to pull this up again. I would say the thing standing out to me there is new. So these are people who want new and exciting experiences. They want that place that they can go on special occasions. And so let's think about now some of the different competitors, some of the other restaurants or other choices people might have to have that new and exciting experience. And let's think about what some of those other experiences, why they don't fully solve this problem. So other competitors might be other restaurants. Other competitors might be, go ahead and feel free to share some stuff in the chat. It might be getting food, like a dinner catered at home. It might be going to like a dinner theater. That would be like new and exciting every time. Food prep boxes. Maybe food prep boxes, maybe they're like preparing the meal together. A family-oriented place like White Spot. Okay, so the problem is it's family or other restaurants are family-oriented when you want the adult atmosphere. This is great. Atmosphere. So people might go to demonstrations or classes. Okay, so we've got some ideas here. So I would say other restaurants, one of the problems with other restaurants is that they're family oriented and you want something that's more of an adult atmosphere. Another problem with other restaurants might be hard to get a reservation. For catering a dinner, problem might be you still have to clean your house and then you still have to clean up after, or, you know, like you have to get things ready. So it's not quite as relaxing as it might be. Problem with the dinner theater might be there's not a lot of room for organic conversation. Food prep boxes, you still have to cook the food. Packaging, it's always a problem with those. You know, so we're starting to see you're looking for other alternatives, and then what you're trying to find is a problem that those other alternatives cause, or a pain point, or how those other alternatives might not 100% solve the problem of couples who want to celebrate special nights out and they want to have exciting and new experiences every time, right? So I've already gone in and copied in a value proposition template. This is just like a random Mad Lib style. There's a lot of these templates out there. You can find value proposition templates anywhere. It's a good starting point if you're struggling to write one, and then you can always fine tune it from there. But so for couples and because we're in the Kelowna area, and then now we're going to write their need, who are looking for new and exciting experiences to celebrate special occasions. We need to name our restaurant. I'm not always the best at thinking on the fly here, so like fun restaurant is a and product category. It's a restaurant. It's a dine-in restaurant, because there's always takeout restaurants as well. So what do we need to do here? We really need to solve some of those problems by maybe we offer like updated new and exciting menus every month. Now, which of these ideas that we'd had down here, which are the ones that our customers are currently most likely using? Someone want to throw something in the chat? Like if you're a part of a couple other restaurants, that's when you're using the most for those special occasions. Perfect. We've got a thumbs up on that. Okay. So unlike other restaurants where, so what we'll say is we don't always want to call out like someone mentioned, like white spots, too family oriented for what we're looking for. We don't want to necessarily call it out, but we want to say like, unlike more casual, dining experiences. So unlike more casual dining experiences, fun restaurant. And then we want to say what makes us different. So unlike those more casual dining experiences, fun restaurant. So I'm thinking like problems where it's not formal enough. Some of the other ones, it might be hard to get a reservation. So let's say like fun restaurant curates an entire customized, or maybe it's like personalized dining experience. So now what we're doing is like, maybe I'm just envisioning, if I can spell, I'm just envisioning like, maybe this is a place where you don't just like call in and go that day. This is a place where it's like, hey, you let them know it's like, this is us, we're coming, this is our whatever anniversary, or it's our third date or whatever it is. And you're greeted at the door, they know your name. Like all of these different details are kind of taken care of so that it just feels like a really full experience, personalized dining experience. And then maybe we also say like, so you can focus on the people you're with. So maybe, you know, they get your food preferences before you go or something like that. So you don't even have to order, you know, that moment in the restaurant where you're like, oh, I don't know what I want, or whatever the case might be. Like maybe that's all taken care of before you even get there. And you just sit down and enjoy the like full service experience. Like random idea, we're testing this hypothesis out. Brett says, I'd go to this restaurant. Perfect. All right, so we're starting to see how just looking at these two really important segments here, the customer segments and the value proposition, I would say these are probably the two hardest building blocks to get done. And so, you know, again, just take your first best swing at what an idea might be, and then we'll build out the other boxes and just see how they all interplay. But really figuring out who you want to serve, what that big problem is, and then looking at the other little problems that they want solved. That's what we're looking at here. So again, when you go ahead and go through these instructions on your own, you're going to be able to think through, like we're talking about a few things, like we're talking about not just like the practical, like I need a place to sit and eat, we provide food and a place to sit and eat. We're also talking to the emotional benefits in our value proposition. We're talking to like, this is for people who just really want to focus on the company that they have while they're there. They don't want to make decisions, they just want it taken care of for them. So we're definitely going more high end on this one. Okay, so we're going to look at the next two building blocks, which are the channels and the customer relationships. So delivery channels are all about figuring out how you're actually going to get your offer to people, how you're going to let them know about it, and how you're going to deliver it. Okay. And then the customer relationships box is all about how you're going to build and engage loyalty and build that like raving fan base who will then become your referral engine for your business. Because at the end of the day, we all know word of mouth, no matter what kind of marketing you're doing, word of mouth is the best marketing. And a lot of marketing is aimed at getting good word of mouth. It's about getting people to repeat business. It's about getting people to refer business. When we're looking at these two boxes, we want to consider things like, are we going with a more traditional or in-person route, or are we using more digital channels? Or are we doing that really high touch, or like where we're really working one-on-one with people, or are we doing more low touch? And so we're going to look at both our customer segments, and we're going to look at our unique value proposition to help us define what these channels and what these relationships need to be. So again, instead, to save some time, we're just going to jump straight into the canvas itself. All right, let's start with the delivery channels. So we're going to have to think about a few things here. One would be, where is it that this is taking place? Is this restaurant, this fun restaurant idea, is it in like a standard commercial building? Is it like where are people going to buy from this restaurant? So for the most part, we're probably going to have a physical location. But because we were talking about like everything taken care of for you, they remember your name every time you come back. Maybe you can even like preset, like we want to come every 3 months. This is the date. You're like rebooking things, or every year for our anniversary, it's just pre-booked. I'm not sure what this is. But we might want to have some sort of way that these customers can interact with us before they even arrive at the restaurant, just based on our value proposition and who we're targeting. So give me some ideas in the chat. How would you, if you wanted to go to a restaurant like this, how would you like to approach that like preparatory planning stage so that the whole evening was taken care of when you got there? Would you like an online website where you did it yourself? Would you like a phone call, or like where you're actually talking through it with someone? Like what is the channel that you would like? Interactive online. All right, we'll go with that. And then phone call with high touch and digital for low touch. So some people like that high touch and some people like that low touch. So maybe we'll say like interactive booking tool and profile. And then we'll also have like an option to call if you'd like to set that up. So some people will prefer one, some people will prefer the other. So we have those two booking options. Next, the other thing we can look at here is how do we want to promote? I think I'm just going to take off the bullets because they're taking up too much room. How do we want to promote this restaurant? So I love that fun restaurant needs nice decor with great lake views, and it's Instagrammable. Oh, that's a really great. I'm going to throw Instagrammable up on the customer relationships, because what that means is that's a way for people to continue to refer us, to like be really loyal to us, to want to show up and want to take pictures there. So that's a really great example of a customer relationship. What that means is, from a channel perspective, maybe we also want to be on Instagram as a channel to interact with the people who are posting. We have some notes. Seating should be cozy and private. I love that. So we've kind of got some ideas for channels. We're primarily doing like Instagram. We're hoping to get some coverage there. You might look at some other traditional, like your storefront, like the front of your store might need to be designed and really inviting. So storefront might be a big, depending on where it is, might be a marketing channel. Okay, so we're kind of coming up with like, how is it that we're reaching people, and how is it that we're interacting with them? What are the like actual tools that we need to do that? And now in customer relationships, we've got that Instagrammable part. And I would say the Instagrammable part is probably a little bit more low touch, but I would say really at the end of the day, our value proposition speaks to really high touch, meaning people are getting a really customized experience. So high touch, customized experience. Like maybe because we're setting up a profile, maybe it's like when you come in, we already know your dining preferences, and then we can just come to you and say like, hey, we think you would like this or this. You know, like just different things like that, so that decisions are taken care of, but you still get a little bit of your own like connection with the servers, connection with the hosts. So hosts, servers, chefs. Again, can't spell. All right. So we've got some ideas for how we're gonna make sure that these customers who come to Fun Restaurant have an amazing experience, that they want to tell everyone else about this restaurant, that they want to come back time and time again. And that's by providing really personalized and customized experiences and providing a really Instagrammable location so that they can share with everyone what they're up to. They can share photos of their food, whatever was prepared for them, all of these details. All right, let's keep moving. So we've done the entire, if you look at it, we've done the entire desirability section of the canvas. And that is by far the hardest section to do, because it's where you're really coming up with the new innovative ideas. And so now we're going to move into feasibility. And this is all about the nuts and bolts of what you actually need to be able to deliver on the promise making over in desirability. So there's 3 building blocks in the feasibility section, and the 3 building blocks are key activities. So what is it that you need to be doing? Key resources. So what is it that you need to have? And key partnerships. Who do you need to support? That's basically what we're looking at here. And I always start with key activities, then go to resources, then go to partners. And what's really important to see is how all of these different boxes interact with each other. So let's start with some key activities. What are some things that Fun Restaurant needs to be doing on a regular basis, just based on everything we've put on the right side of the canvas? So I'd say we need to be cooking food, changing up the menu, ordering food, ordering supplies. Oh, we have Google reviews on here. That would be a good thing to have probably in the relationships. So yeah, making custom cocktails, maybe even refreshing decor, like make it feel like a new experience. That would be cool. Maybe expensive, but it's cool. Yeah, and then we'll also need to be doing some marketing. So we'll have to be reviewing that Instagram content, right? So Insta, because people are posting there. That's part of what we're doing. We're probably prepping for each evening because we know who's coming in. We have that profile of the customer. So prepping for each customer. Okay, this is just some ideas of key activities. There's probably more we need to be doing, but this gives you an idea. Refreshing the seat area sometimes. I like it. Getting customer feedback, that's a really good one. That's probably something every business should be doing. Okay, so now that we have some key activities in mind, we're going to start thinking about key resources. What do we actually need to have? What are some things we need to have? And so key resources can be physical resources, they could be intellectual resources, human. So it could be about your team, the type of team you need to have. It could be financial resources that you need. So what are some of those resources? Throw them in the chat. I'm just going to get started while we're doing this. And so I would say one resource is the location and like standard equipment. So like tables, chairs, all that, all the kitchen equipment. So equipment and furniture. Okay, and then another key resource, we're going to need a staff who is really good at creating those positive experiences. And that goes from everything from the chef who is creating the menu to the servers and the hosts and the people following up online. We'll also need this interactive tool. Booking platform. And then, yeah, we'll need a website, we'll need music, food. Yeah. So website, music, preferences, and food. All right, so we've got some really good ideas of key resources. Again, this isn't about getting all of the details in. If you remember, we're like, no details. Let's focus on like, what are the biggest key resources you need? And as you go through this, you're gonna go through the whole canvas again, and you're gonna say, oh, I missed this, and you'll add it in. It's fine. So we're looking big picture here. So now that we have our activities and the resources we need to think about who our key partners are. So these are people outside of our organization that we might need to build relationships with to make this happen. So the first thing that comes to mind for me is like a food supplier. Does anyone else want to pop some ideas in? Cleaning staff. Yes, thank you. Oh, an artist to help with changing the decor. Wouldn't that be cool? Like an event planner or artist who really curates the different themes. Employees, yeah, employees we threw in the key resource because that's something we're going to own. And same with the main chef, that's something we're going to own. So I would say staff, that's like includes chef, but it's a really important resource to have. Oh, and a nutritionist would be really cool if we wanted to do that. We've got accountants. Yep, we're going to need accountants. You know, do we need a web designer? Yeah, a web designer would be a partner if you're going to use one ongoing. And web designer or marketing agency. So we're starting to see for this business, let's just look through some of these boxes again. So we're really focused on couples. We're really focused on dine-in experiences. We're looking at like Instagram as being a main marketing channel. So maybe we want to partner with some local influencers. I'm not sure, just throwing it in there to really help us get the word out. And then we want a physical location. So I would say maybe for that like web designer, if we have this interactive tool, we might need someone to maintain it. So it could be like web designer / developer. So again, you're looking through your other boxes of the canvas and you're saying, you know, to have these high touch experiences, do we need anything outside of our business? We're looking at in here, we're changing out, we're getting decor. Maybe we actually partner with a furniture and decor rental company so that we can change it up. Yeah, and if we're going to have live music, we might want musicians. So again, we're starting to see like, this is shaping what this business looks like, what this fun restaurant actually looks like when you're in it. And so it could be local live music, absolutely. So we might choose to go with live music or we might choose not to. It's kind of up to us. So that is the feasibility. Can we build this? Is it possible that we can find food suppliers and cleaning staff and someone to help us like design the themes and accountants and maybe partner with some influencers and maybe rent some decor and furniture and find musicians? Is that possible? I would say yes, we could probably find these people. Is it possible for us to be cooking food and changing up our menu and ordering supplies, refreshing our decor, reviewing all of our social channels, really prepping our staff to prepare for and meet with each customer? Yes, probably. And then we're getting customer feedback as well. And then we just got a note here. Yeah, so interactive booking platform, let's say software here, just from the notes. And is it possible that we can find a location, that we can get the equipment that we need to have this restaurant running, that we could hire a staff to create those positive experiences, including a chef? Is it possible that we could create that online booking platform and have a website and music and food so that we can serve it? I would say yes. So feasibility right now, is this possible within the next 3 to 12 months if we wanted to run this business? I would say probably, right? So just giving us that like high touch. We already had someone in the chat say they would go to Fun Restaurant. Sounds like a fun place to go. Now we've seen over here that we're saying like, okay, this is actually a possibility. We could make this happen. This is an idea and it's possible to execute on. So now we're going to move into the next section of the canvas. And I'm just moving a little bit faster so we can cover everything and still have time for some Q&A. So the last section of the canvas really is viability. And this is all about making sure that your business will be profitable. And I would say the key thing to remember with viability is that the whole purpose of a business is to create so much value for your customers through that desirability that they are excited to pay you money, and then to be able to capture some of that value as revenue, right? So we're going to have a revenue model. How are people paying for us? And then we're going to have all of our costs, the things, all of these cool ideas we had in the feasibility side of it. How much is it going to cost us to do this? And then we're going to say, like, does this make sense? Are the costs less than what we think we can get for the revenue? And again, this is really high level. We're not going to do like real math here. We're going to do a lot of guesstimates. And then once you've made a lot of decisions in your canvas, you can go in and do full financial forecasts and things like that. But this is like the high level bird's eye view. One thing I will say is there's different revenue models. So it's really fun if you're looking for innovation. It's really fun to look at what some of those different revenue models might be and how you might go about changing up your business and being very different than other restaurants, even just by how you get people to pay you. So again, we've got instructions. I'll leave this to you for when you go and fill out your own canvas, but let's just do a live filling out. We always start with the revenue side of things because we want to see where the money is coming from. So before I start typing things in, there's a couple of different revenue models or ways that businesses make money that come to mind for me here. The one is where you just directly sell like that evening's meal, you sell the package, right? So it's like, hey, book in every time you come as a couple of two, or it's per person or whatever it looks like. Maybe it's a group of 4 coming in that night, but it's a per person, per head kind of rate. That could be a possibility for this type of restaurant. So you're not picking like different prices off the menu. You're just coming in and getting a full experience. So that's one idea. Another idea is maybe this is like some sort of fun restaurant subscription thing where you're a member and you can come, your membership allows you to come once a month or once every 3 months or once a year. That could be a different type of revenue model that we could explore. So membership, subscription. And just because we work with tech companies, I'm going to throw out one that sometimes people overlook is a licensing model. So you could license your intellectual property. So if you can create the system for the booking with the profiles and the full tool, you could license that out to other restaurants, and that could actually be your whole business. You don't actually have to run a restaurant at that point. Just throwing that out there. We won't do that for this one because I know you guys want to run a real fun restaurant. Just throwing it out as that's an option. Another one would be a franchise model, right? You could take this whole idea and pop one up in different cities. And then other people can purchase this and run their own fun restaurant. We're in Kelowna, they run one in Vancouver, someone else runs one in Calgary, and now fun restaurants all over the place. So just different ways of looking. I like looking at other businesses and seeing how they make money. You know, a lot of other businesses might make money off advertising. You see that a lot, like Facebook makes money off advertising, but other ones are like even the local city bus, right? They make money off of people pay every time they get on the bus. People pay memberships to have their bus pass. And then they also have advertising inside the bus and on the outside of the bus that they sell. So just remembering every business has different revenue streams, and we're going to pick the one that makes the most sense to us. These are the two that come to mind for me. Does anyone want to pick one, or does anyone want to add another one into the chat? They're getting quiet. Membership. Okay, I like it. I'm actually really excited about this. The cool thing about a membership model is it can really help you with predictability. With a restaurant, it can be very unpredictable. So when you have a membership that you're selling, maybe it's an annual subscription or a monthly payment, you can really figure out what your revenue will be at least as a baseline. You might offer upsells if you want within Fun Restaurant or additions to that. But yeah, I think a membership or subscription model would be really fun. Another one people forget about is like Costco is a great example of a membership subscription model. They make money off of their Costco card fees, right? And then you're like exclusive access to it. Also probably will add to the customer relationships, and it will probably add to, having that customized experience, because then every time that couple comes back for their Fun Restaurant experience, you'll have notes on what they ordered last time, what they really liked. You're getting their customer feedback from them so that you can say like, hey, last time you really liked this wine, we think you would love this one. And you can really customize that experience based on all of that historical data you can gather on them. So let's go ahead with a membership subscription. Now, in revenue streams and cost structures, you kind of have to choose, are we looking at this? Are we going to put a number on this as an annual cost or a monthly cost? I like to do annual when possible. So like, what is a typical Kelowna couple likely to pay for this if they're going to come to Fun Restaurant once a month? How much do you think actually, instead of what would someone pay, one of the best questions you can ask is what is the most someone would pay for this experience? So what is the most someone would pay for this special experience, knowing they're going to come back on a regular cadence? Maybe it's once a month, maybe it's once a quarter. I'd love to hear from some folks in the chat what they think is realistic. Maybe it's once a year. Okay, so yeah, 100 to 150 a head for the upper end restaurant, and that could be 300 per month. Perfect. So we have an idea, and if they're coming every month, quick math for me, so that's 3,600 a year per couple, right? And yeah, we could definitely do tiered pricing. So we could have like a monthly option, we could have a quarterly option, an annual option if we wanted to do that. But let's just keep it simple and pick monthly. Did I even get that right? I'm not always here. 300 times 12. Yeah, I got it right. Okay. And then how many couples do we think we could serve? So if they're coming every month, this is going to give us an idea of how many tables or how many seats we need, but like how many nights are in a typical month? 30. So we've got 30 nights, and then how many customers or how many couples do we think we'll have in the restaurant each night? And remember, there's different times that people might come as well. So does anyone want to throw out a guess? And again, wildly, like we don't even have to do any research. I really want to pull up Google right now and be like, how many couples typically go through a restaurant on a typical night? And I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do my wildest guess. If you're having a hard time guessing, sometimes it's helpful to do like, is it more likely to be 10 or 100, right? Like which of these two ballparks would it be? Early and late seating, we've got 80 people. I think that would be cool. So 80 people times the 30 nights a month. So what we have to do is so we're doing 80 people times 30 nights. That'll tell us how many possible memberships we can sell. So that's 2,400 memberships. That's our max. We're probably not going to sell that many. How many memberships do we think we'll sell to couples in the Kelowna area? Just rough estimate. Is it more likely to be 100 memberships? Is it more likely to be 1,000 or 10,000? So we've got 500. I think we'll sell about 500 memberships. Okay. Let's go with 500. So we saw the maximum we could possibly do was 2,400. We're being a little bit more conservative. I'm actually going to throw 1,000 in here because we saw the maximum was 2,400. Let's go about half of max and start with that. So then that gives us 3,600 times, I should be able to just do this, but I'm not going to try. So that's revenue stream of roughly 3,600,000 per year. So that gives us a rough idea of how much revenue this might bring in. We also might have like special nights for different experiences. People might be able to add on to their group and bring friends. Like there might be other revenue streams here as well, but this gives us an idea. And now big picture costs for all of these things. I'm just gonna like break it into some really big buckets. So operations, I'm gonna break it into marketing, food and supplies, team. What else do we have here? Entertainment, software, operations, I would say is like decor, physical location, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think rent can go in there. So again, ballparking, how much do we think these operations will cost us per year? And so again, we could go like, is it likely that our rent and utilities and like basic expenses like that, is it likely that those things will cost us? It's helpful if you want to break it down to a month too. Is it going to cost us $10,000 a month, $100,000 a month? Like what's the realistic big picture number here? Does anyone want to throw one in? And we could be wildly wrong, and that's 100% okay. I'm just going to jump in here and say $50 per square foot for lease. I love how much information people just have without having to look it up. It's so amazing. But let's just like throw in a ballpark. Rent and utilities, thank you. $1,200 per month. So $1,200 per month is 14, let's say like 15,000 a year. Marketing, how much do we think we'll pay for marketing? So let's say we're paying, I don't know, we're not doing a ton of marketing actually. We're doing like Instagram and some stuff. We might want to throw some more money at marketing, but we're hoping that referrals and people referring their friends is really going to take this off. So let's go ahead and throw at least a couple $1,000s per month. So let's just say like, and I think I did this wrong, 1,200. So that is, oh, I did 1,200, not 12,000. I'm like, why is that such a small? So it's not 15,000, it's 150,000. That makes a lot more sense. I'm not your numbers girl, just so you know. So marketing, let's say it's another 24,000, so like 2,000 a month. Food and supplies, I have no idea. I'm gonna assume, I don't know, like 40% of revenue, that works. Okay, look at all these people with restaurant experience. So times 0.4, so that's 1,400,000, let's say 1.5 million. Team, what's your team gonna cost you every year? Again, adding up salaries, and we can do really rough estimate. We could do, is it gonna be 100,000, 500,000, a million? Let's do, I don't even know. Let's do 750,000. Okay, entertainment software, again, let's just like throw in like 50K, I don't even know, 50K, just so that we can move along here. And so now we're gonna add these up and we're gonna say like, if we add all of this together, so we've got 1.5, and then we've got another 100. Does anyone want to give me a number so I don't have to add live on the call? What's our costs? Ballpark, I would say we're probably looking at, that's another like 2.5 million. So our cost is probably roughly around the 2.5 million, right? Oh, there we go, 2.5, 2.4, fantastic. So if our cost is roughly, we're going to miss stuff. It's going to be more expensive than this, but if our costs are roughly 2.5 million and our revenues conservatively, because we could potentially double this if we sold out our memberships, but our revenue is 3,600,000, then we have a possible profit of 1,100,000 per year. So I would say viability is this, we're not looking at like, are we going to do this? Are the numbers right? We're just saying like, is this business even possible? Is it worth continuing to explore this? And I would say, based on these numbers, it would be worth it to continue exploring this idea. So we've done the draft of our first business model canvas. As you get used to this and start doing it yourself, you're going to really be able to do this, honestly, you can do a canvas in like 20 minutes. Once you know the boxes and you just work through it really fast. So this is your business model canvas hypothesis. And now every time you go to work on your business, you're going to look at this and you're going to say, a lot of these are really, really wild guesses, and I have absolutely no clue if any of it's true. And so now your job working through the business model canvas is to find what are the biggest risks? What are the assumptions that everything else is built on? And how can I figure out if I was right or not? And so your goal now isn't always to be right, but it's always to learn. And so I would say the biggest thing for us right now for Fun Restaurant is to get out of the building and go talk to some people. We want to talk to couples in the Kelowna area who would be willing to spend about $300 a month to have this really exciting dining experience in their life. And we're going to talk to them and really understand, what do they currently do when they have to celebrate a special occasion? What are their current places that they go? What are the challenges? And we want to hear from them, that our guests, that having that really personalized dining experience is important to them and that they would be willing to pay for that, right? So that's kind of how you're going to go through. And over time, you're going to take all of these hypotheses and you're going to make them concrete because you've proved or disproved them. And maybe we learn that that's not the case. They're not willing to pay that. Maybe it's not a monthly subscription. Maybe we have to sell more subscriptions and it's less money because it's once a quarter they're coming, or once a year, and then they can add on from there. We have to look at what they're willing to do, what they're interested in, and we have to go out. And the whole goal of this is to create a business that really solves a pain or a desire for someone, and does it in a way that costs us less than we make from doing that for them. And so they're happy, we're happy. That's the goal of the business model canvas. All right, so as a wrap up, I would highly suggest, if you're an established business, you do your business model canvas once a quarter when you're doing your quarterly planning, or at the very least once a year. Things might shift, things might stay the same, but it might give you an opportunity to identify new ideas within your business that you could look to. A lot of the founders at Accelerate Okanagan, they started out with traditional businesses. We've had a dentist come in who has created a whole new business because they noticed an opportunity in the market for other dentists to purchase something that they wanted to offer. We've had, daycares come in. We've had so many traditional businesses come in with an idea for a scalable solution. So if you're looking to explore, please come to us for that, but also go to WeCafé. They're going to help you with your business planning and everything there as well. This is about having that lightweight, really iterative planning process. And I know I promised time for Q&A. I think I made it with a few minutes to spare. So if anyone has a question, I would love for you to put your hand up and we can call on you to come off mute and share your question. And then also, if you'd like, I would love to see people sharing their biggest aha moments or takeaways in the chat.
I have a question, Jessica. It's Kathy Burrell.
Hey, Kathy.
I just wondered, is the business model canvas a new way of sort of looking at the business planning process, or has this always been something that tech or accelerators have used? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I should have done more history background. So there's a business strategist called Alexander Osterwalden or something. There's a book called Business Model Canvas Design that he wrote. And he did a bunch of research to find this process and to create a lightweight way of doing this. And I think it was, I'm going to guess early 2000s. Wild guess again. Was it 90s? Was it early 2000s? I'm not sure, but I think it was early 2000s that he came up with this. wildly adopted in the tech community, but he designed this business model canvas for businesses of all types, traditional businesses as well.
Great, thank you. I think you've got some questions in the chat now.
Yeah, okay. So Deborah, feel free to post your question in the chat or just come off mic without your camera. That's fine as well.
Can you, okay, I'm off mute. You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So, I love this. Thank you. And so we've done this fun restaurant. We've gone and looked at it from one segment, customer segment, like the couples. Would you go down and then redo it for other people that you might want to attract to your, like the families or private events? Would you run it several times with different customer segments to come up with new stuff, or would you just stick with the one and then sort of explore that, or yeah?
Yeah, I would say there's a couple of things. Businesses are all about balancing like what you want to do as the entrepreneur and what the market wants, and trying to find like a nice fit between those two things. So I would say if you're interested in exploring different potential customer segments, you could just in the canvas, and again, you could just do it on your notes app. You don't need anything fancy, but you could just make a duplicate of this slide and go ahead and build out, again, it takes about 20 minutes, build out a business model idea for all of your different customer segments you might want to address. Maybe it was all the people who we'd listed down here as potential people. You might also want to look at, like we had listed a bunch of potential problems, and you might want to do a different canvas for all of the different problems you're trying to address. And so like that's the really high level ideation. But when you're going out and doing the work of validating hypothesis, of like actually going and talking to people and like working towards it, I would suggest that you really have one canvas that you're working on validating at a time, and that you're iterating or changing that canvas. You don't want to split your time and attention and try to be validating two different markets at the same time. So pick your best horse kind of a thing,
Right.
and work on that first.
Okay, great, thank you.
Cool. Craig, when looking to third-party financing, is the business canvas readily accepted by the finance broker? So I would say business model canvas is kind of like the executive summary of your business plan, which is probably the page that gets read the most. But each financer that you go to is going to have different requirements, and you may have to build out a full business plan with all of your like pro forma sheets and everything inside the business plan that you need. And so I would lean on the financiers for letting you know what they need. And I would say the business model canvas is that really good tool for working through the big picture and getting the big picture really clear. Because once you get into business planning, you're getting into those fine, more granular details. And so this is like, let's get that big picture captured, and then let's move into those finer details to build whatever plan that we need to get the financing that we need to make this a reality. Okay, I do want to recognize we're over time. I'm happy to stay on for another moment or two and answer some questions. I'll maybe answer one more right now. But I'd like to say if anyone has any additional questions, we'll send my email out in the follow-up email, and it's just jessica@accelerateokanagan.com. But you can also obviously reach out to the team at WeBC with questions about their services and what they offer. So the next person in my list that I had that had a question was Brett. Brett, did you want to come?
Yeah. Hi, Jessica. Hi. This has been great. Thank you so much. So I'm a workshop facilitator, and I work in organizations and basically do team building. So have done this as like the people who would hire me, like the head of people and culture, and go from there. But I know you had talked about kind of the user versus the buyer. And I'm wondering if it would also be beneficial for me to do this from the actual participants who would be in my workshops, maybe just for sort of marketing ideas and clarity on that.
Yes, I would absolutely do that. So again, when we're looking at a multi-sided model, you're going to want to pick out of the like, I don't know what it was, like the people in culture team who hired you, or the end user who is going to implement what you train them on. You're going to want to look at like who is the more challenging of those two customers to get and to please, and that will be like the primary market. So you're probably going to want to look at your people in culture, the people paying you first. And then, so what you would just do is you would come in here and you would say like, this is my buyer or my customer. And then we would come down here and say, this is my user. And we would go ahead and do the canvas. You could do 2 different pages, one for the customer, one for the user, but you could also come in here and say like, this is relevant to both the customer and the user, and you would hashtag them both. Or if you don't want to use hashtags, you can just like change the color of the font or the color of your pen, but you definitely want to do the canvas for anyone that is essential to please for your business. You want to do the canvas for them.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Right. I know there are other questions, but yeah, I think Kathy, you're going to jump in here.
Yeah, Jessica, I mean, that was great. And I'm glad everybody's got your contact information, and they of course have our contact information from WeBC. But I think what we're going to do is just, I'll start sharing my screen if you unshare yours, and then we can kind of, you know, we can go back and just make sure we didn't forget anything. So I just want to thank everybody for being here today. Thank you very much for Jessica putting up with our little bit of technical difficulties. I think it was a great presentation. And again, for those of you who have been interested in doing a business for a while, but the business planning process has been quite onerous, this has been a fabulous look at the quick and easy sort of just get those ideas down in paper and then work on them as you can. So thank you very much, Jessica, for being with us today. And again, Jen will post Jessica's contact information. It will be in the follow-up email. So don't worry, you'll be able to get a hold of her. I just want to let you know that there are a few more webinars this month. We've done a series with Procurement Canada, selling to the government. And tomorrow is the last of that series. But even if you didn't do all 4, it's still very interesting information. And starting on September 14th, building on what we did today, we're doing a seminar or a webinar on building your business plan, formalizing your ideas. And it's again going to be a very interactive sort of thing. And it's already very well registered for, but if you're interested, we would encourage you to go to sign up for our eBlast newsletter. I'm sure Jessica has one at Accelerate Okanagan, where you once a month you get an email from us. 99% of the time, it's extremely easy to register for a webinar right off the email. So just go to we-bc.ca/eblast and you can sign up for that. Lastly, we're going to be doing our feedback poll today. So again, if I saw some great engagement today, everybody was really interested in this concept. We would love to have you. Jen is going to launch the poll, and anybody that's interested in a specific topic that you think WeBC would be in a good position to deliver with, again, a fabulous presenter and partner like Accelerate Okanagan is to us, you know, let us know. Just throw a couple of suggestions. If you don't think of the suggestion until 2 days from now, still contact us at hello@webc.ca and let us know. So I'd really love everyone to participate in the feedback poll today, give us some information. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today. And yeah, once the feedback poll is over, we know you have to get on with your day. So thank you very much and enjoy your day, everyone. And thanks again to Jessica. It was great.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.